Live from Sin City, it's the Socks and Pinstripes Podcast. And now, here's the star of the show, Diet Dr. Griffin!
This is Diet Dr. Griffin back with another episode of the Socks and Pinstripes Podcast. Shane is with us. Say hello, Shane.
Hello.
How are things up in your neck of the woods?
Well, I can say they're a lot cooler and a lot more enjoyable than they are down in Vegas. So,
Yeah, I mean, we had some 110 plus temperature days the past few days. It's been over 100 consistently for the past week or so, and it's going to remain that way from what I can tell.
do you learn not to touch like certain things during the day, basically, that could
We just
potentially burn your hand off?
we just try not to go outside, really.
Okay, that tracks. So,
Unfortunately, I have a job in the similar vein of yours where I'm having to go drive from place to place and be out during the day, which is not fun right now, but you kind of just prepare and you have to put like one of those shades on the front of your car just to keep the steering wheel from getting super hot. 'Cause
oh
it
yeah,
really,
I
it
can only
really
imagine.
doesn't do much for the actual like car and everything, but
Yeah, I don't
it's
know how. I saw someone driving around. They're like mail vehicles there without air conditioning. I don't know how those people do it. So,
I think the the UPS vehicles don't have air conditioning too, and I think that was a big to do with them on some of their negotiations. Yeah, I don't know how the postal employees do it. They don't have air conditioning in their vehicles. That's nuts out here.
that's insane.
Yeah. So, let's get started on some of the baseball topics. How do you use social media, Shane? Are you active on like Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever? How do you use social media?
Almost not at all. I actually just started I've always been an amateur photographer. So I just
Mhm.
started taking pictures again for Instagram, which I hadn't posted anything in like a year. I haven't checked my Facebook since high school, college, maybe. I tried
Oh
to delete
wow.
it once and then it said it deleted my account, but then it's still there. So I don't really know what's going on with that.
Sounds like a South Park episode right there.
Yeah. So, but yeah, not very much. I was started a thing on Twitter called um, stuff my coworkers say, but a different word for stuff.
Yes.
And it was like weird quotes that people say to you at work, but I haven't done that since also after college. So
So the reason I bring this up, and I'm a very private person when it comes to social media too. I have Facebook and I basically just use it to keep up with the news and stuff. The
yeah.
reason I bring this up is because Angel Hernandez apparently retired in part because of all of the social media coverage that his calls or his bad calls for that matter would be getting. Like every time he screwed up, it would be blown up and magnified all over, the internet. And that kind of contributed to his just general wanting to get out because it just became too much for him.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to my dad about this the other day, in which he was like, "Oh, like you never used to hear about this, that, and the other thing." And I was like, "Yeah, now everyone has a platform where 100 other people, can agree or disagree or yell at each other. And it's not that these things never happened before. It's just now everyone can be an authority on whatever they want to be, and it becomes an echo chamber of either knowledge, nonsense, hate, or love." So
Well, it seemed like one of the few times that baseball fans are able to get united on something to get him out. And the other thing is that even if it was like another umpire screwing up or something, you always compare it to Angel Hernandez. Like
Yeah, and
his
the other
name would
thing
just
about
get blown out there. It's like that's an Angel Hernandez performance right there.
the other thing about that too is if you look on so you can go to umpire scorecard and
Yeah.
look up their, put in whatever year from date to date, and you can look up all their stats. And the thing is like he's not the most inaccurate umpire. It's just when he gets it wrong, it's so egregiously wrong, and then he refuses to back down from it, which is why everyone thinks he's the worst. So
Yeah. Yeah, he doubles down on his wrongness instead of just saying, you know what, I messed up on the call. And if he did that a little more often, maybe he would have been able to kind of move on and not be so widely recognized for his inaccuracies.
yeah, I mean, I guess to everyone listening, let's team up on CB Buckner next. So
Yeah, yeah. His turn. Your days are over calling balls for strikes, Buckner. That's the most terrible nickname. I don't know why I came up with it. This is so bad.
the good. This is what my dad always used to tell me, and what a lot of people have always told me is, you'll never know a good umpire's name because there's no reason to know their name. So
Exactly, exactly. If you're a good umpire, we probably don't know who you are. And that seems to be one of these societal things, man. We don't like praise good people when they do good work. We just kind of talk about like all the bad stuff.
yeah, no,
So
you're absolutely right. It's like you have to really self promote the to the point of where it's almost annoying how much you're self promoting the good you're doing in the world. So
yeah, it's like no, give us the bad stuff again.
yeah.
So we have had more gambling stuff happening this week. I'm gonna try to pronounce this guy's name. His last name is Marciano. His first name is Tupita.
Tucapita.
Tucapita. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, I apologize. I don't know how to pronounce that name. But
Well,
he,
you're banned for life anyway, so
yeah, yeah. So he is an infielder currently with was with the San Diego Padres, and he was betting on his own team, which at the time was the Pittsburgh Pirates.
yeah.
And he was not very good at his wagering. He ended up wagering like $150,000 over like 400 something baseball bets. And they're saying that he only won like 4% of his baseball wagers, which just seems even more crazy in and of itself.
Yeah, I mean, when you have extra income, that's how the other side lives, Griffin. So just throw money out the door.
Well,
It doesn't matter.
yeah, but I mean, if you're a professional baseball player, right?
One
And
would think you'd be better at baseball gambling.
yeah, I mean, you would kind of know a little more than the average person betting on baseball. I mean, Ipe was better at wagering than this guy was, and he didn't know how to play baseball.
What's crazy about this whole thing is that major it wasn't that Major League Baseball found out. It was the gambling operators told Major League Baseball, "Hey, do you know like there are some professional players gambling right now?"
This is the thing. Like my background here, with going on the Wayback Machine. My college degree was actually in casino management.
Okay.
And they talked back in the day when I was in college. This was close to 20 years ago now. Like the casinos and stuff, they had a lot of the information about like the betting scandals. There was a big college betting scandal in the early 2000s. I don't quote me on this. I like to say it was with like Arizona College, one of the Arizona schools or something. There was a big thing. I could probably Google it if I wanted to, but like it was the casinos that basically knew what was going on because they can see what amounts of betting are just kind of out there versus like what is a normal kind of betting pattern when they can kind of see the line movements and things. So they often know what's going on more than everybody else.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There were also a few other players who got suspended for a year, although they bet on games that they weren't in MLB and other sports, but they bet on games they weren't a part of.
Yeah, so it's Michael Kelly from the A's, Jay Groom, who's a high A in the minor leagues for the Red Sox. Jose Rodriguez is a Phillies minor leaguer. And then the big one, the other big one that I thought was Andrew Saalfrank. The reason why we haven't seen him as a reliever for the Diamondbacks is he's also a part of that. So
Ah,
yeah, and he apparently his story was he showed up for work one day and they had his cubby cleared out and was like, sorry, you're gone for a year, basically.
yeah, and it's like these guys weren't betting a whole lot of money. I'm looking at like a CBS Sports article, and it said like Kelly did 10 MLB bets at an average of like $9.92 per bet.
Yeah, that's what my dad and I do. We try to do like the 5 team parlays where like $9 gets you 70 or whatever.
Yeah, it's just and he and these guys, these four guys didn't bet a lot of money, and it's a very interesting thing we've got going on here because you have, some ballparks having wagering like right across the street from them. And I
Hmm.
think even in like the Reds place, they have like BetMGM, logos in the grass.
Yeah,
There's some interesting situations, and we're seeing some of this in the NFL too, as the gambling companies are starting to integrate themselves into the actual sports now.
yeah. What do you think about this? And this is kind of something that I've been thinking about. I say, as long as it's not a game you're playing in, I mean, let them gamble. I mean, the casinos donate a lot of money to different charitable organizations. I know that, like for Vegas, they subsidize a lot of flights and they pay taxes to the state of Nevada as well. And as long as you're not playing, I say, just let them. They're going to do it anyways. Just might as well let them do it legally rather than, having to go through a bookie or all these other crazy things that they've been doing. So,
I mean, that's a lot of the gambling stuff's on a state by state basis. Some
oh
states,
yeah, that's right.
every state has different rules on sports wagering. It used to be only like Vegas had sports wagering, and then like the other states eventually started allowing it. It's a slow trickle out with the states, and similar with other types of things like marijuana and other laws. Um,
Yeah, well, I guess then federal regulation to just make sports betting legal because people are going to do it whether or not it's legal or not
yeah,
and
I
get
mean,
themselves into, crazy situations that otherwise they, wouldn't have been. So,
yeah, it's the federal government's got so much stuff going on right now. I don't know if sports wagering is necessarily at the top of the list, but
it should be, Griffin. It
it
should be.
it should be it should be for sure. If you're an MLB player, you shouldn't be allowed to bet on anything MLB related while you're an active player. But if you want to
Okay.
bet on NFL or basketball or whatever, I don't see the issue with that. I feel like just don't bet on your own sport. That's my feeling.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair concession I would make too. I mean, that seems pretty fair. I mean, I would take it one step further and say just don't gamble on a game you're in. But I guess, that's probably treading a line that is a little too close to Pete Rose, for
Well, I
example. So
mean, think about it in this sense. Like you as a baseball player may have some insider information, like really, really insider information that most people don't have. You might know somebody's hurt on another team because you just played them or something to that effect. or you have
Oh
some
yeah.
kind of contact. I think it's more that, but I just think it's like the safe thing to do is just look, if you're an MLB player, don't bet on MLB games.
Yeah.
If you play in the NFL, don't bet on anything NFL related. NBA, don't bet on anything NBA. I think that's like the cleanest way to do it.
Yeah, I think you're right on that too, honestly. So,
All righty.
do you know who the last player to be banned for life from MLB was?
Um, no, I mean, I'm struggling to think of who else besides Pete Rose was banned for life.
Yeah, he accepted his though. Do you know who the last person who was like forcefully banned like Tucapita?
No, I don't.
Was 1924 Jimmy O'Connell of the New York Giants.
And do you know what he was banned for life for playing? Because I've never even heard of Jimmy O'Connell.
Him and his coach, Cozy Dolan, bribed someone like $500, like $4,000 in our money today, on the other team to just throw the game, like just to not play well on purpose.
Oh,
So
well, the more you know.
I thought you might enjoy that. But
Yeah,
also, I want to hear. So, what's his name? Trevor.
Trevor Bauer.
Yes, free Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer has now been in the news being like, hey, so Shohei just got acquitted for everything. I was also shown to be innocent. Why can't I come back to the Major League Baseball?
The Trevor Bauer situation. I definitely have some opinions on this. I don't know if I've overly discussed a lot of this on the show, but I definitely have some opinions about the Trevor Bauer situation, and I think it's one of those things where um there is active collusion to keep him out of the game by the owners and the commissioner especially.
I mean, sure seems that way, especially former Cy Young winner, and they just DFA'd him after his contract was over.
I mean, pretty much, yeah. I mean, the Dodgers were basically just kind of stuck in a situation having to pay him out his money.
Yeah.
And I feel like Bauer is a capable enough pitcher to at least be good enough to have a job in MLB. I think that's a fairly safe argument, especially when you consider that like most teams are going to have like a five-man rotation, and you just see the quality of some of those guys that are on the rotation. It's like, okay, Bauer, I don't know if Bauer still has like the Cy Young abilities that he had back, in 2020, but he's certainly skilled enough to warrant a roster spot on a rotation in this
I
league. Like,
mean, the Houston Astros would probably take a look at him these days. So.
have you seen who the Colorado Rockies are trotting out there in their rotation? I mean,
No,
jeez.
I haven't even been paying attention to them.
Like there's like Cal Quantrill is their best pitcher. That's how
Yeah.
bad the Rockies are. Cal
I
Quantrill.
picked him. He won me a game one time, actually. So,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Cal Quantrill's like a decent middle of the road pitcher. He just has the unfortunate problems of playing in Colorado half his games. But
yeah, and he's their ace too, so it's not like he's going anywhere. So.
yeah, but I feel like the issues with Bauer or that really had to do with the stuff that he did prior to his suspension and the stuff that he did during the process of it. Bauer has been one of these guys that has been openly critical of MLB and the rules and how they enforce things, especially with Rob Manfred. He wanted the game to be just better, and
Yeah,
sometimes he didn't go about it in the best ways, but he wants baseball to be better and more accountable for things. And once he got into the process of the suspension and things, he didn't really agree to kiss the proverbial ring, so to speak. And
gotcha.
I think that's where like, he basically just got blacklisted very much in the same way Colin Kaepernick pretty much did.
Yeah, okay, that's a great example. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now, I mean, at the time, a lot of this stuff we didn't know that, one of his accusers basically targeted him, and then another one would be like on fraud criminal charges
Yeah.
for some of the stuff going on. I just think he deserves an opportunity to play again in MLB, and I'm disappointed that he hasn't over what I think is pretty clear issues with, just they don't want him around anymore, and we're just gonna not let him play anymore.
Yeah, that's a bummer for him too.
You've
So
got you've got guys like Marcell Ozuna who got 25 game suspension for, basically strangling his wife.
yeah,
And
that to me is that's crazy if you compare those two. So
and he served that suspension while he was injured. It was like a retroactive thing. If
well, and then
Bauer
there
had
was the other guy who got a DUI, and he tried to get out of the DUI by like saying, "Hey, don't you know like
That
who
was
I
Marcell
am?"
Ozuna. He had a
Yeah,
DUI after
exactly.
coming back. He had a, he had
Yeah.
a DUI. He pulled the Tony La Russa, you know who I am? Yeah, yeah. So Marcelo Ozuna had another DUI after coming back from suspension. And like the Braves tried to trade him for Patrick Corbin straight up, and they didn't do it. Like the Washington Nationals didn't want the trade, even though like Ozuna had less money on his contract than
Yeah.
than Corbin did. And now Ozuna is like still a tremendous player, and everybody's just gonna forget about it when he's a free agent again. They're just gonna see, oh, this guy's an excellent DH. They're not gonna care that he's, had this domestic incident that he likely would have gone to jail for if he wasn't a professional athlete.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I wonder though, I do think about it like this. Had Bauer signed a more conventional type of contract, say like because as Bauer signed, I think a year after or around a year or two after Cole signed his 9 year, $325 million contract, I think it was.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
Bauer wanted to do this more betting on himself thing. And I just wonder if Bauer had signed with the Dodgers for, say, 6 or 7 years. He didn't have to sign for 9, but just say he signed for 6 or 7 years instead of the 3. And the
Yeah.
Dodgers were forced to pay him like, say, $30 million a year for that entire stay. Let's say he signed for like 7 years, 210, let's say, just round
Yeah.
numbers. If he signed for that amount of money, and he still had like in this instance, he would still have like 3 or 4 years left after they determined the suspension.
Hmm.
They would probably be forced to probably play him at that point
I think you're
because
absolutely right.
he was under contract. And I just wonder, like that was the kind of the situation with Ozuna, because I think Ozuna signed a 4 year, $64 million contract like right before all this stuff happened, and
Yeah.
they're still under contract with him. So I think the lesson to be learned here is if you're going to be a criminal, make sure you have a long-term contract in place, because because it makes it that much harder for players to want to get rid of you. Like ownership's not
Yeah.
going to want to just DFA you unless you like pull an Aaron Hernandez and murder somebody.
Yeah. No, yeah. No shit.
So lock in the long-term deals, kiddies, before you do something wrong.
Exactly. And to all of our friends with arts degrees, send free Trevor Bauer t-shirts to this station. So
Yeah, I'll put up an email address after the show. I think it's dietdrgriffin@gmail.com.
yeah, well, and we'll rep your company as well. So
Yeah. So, MLB is presently in London. They just had a series with the Mets and the Phillies, where the Mets won today 6-5. And They've played some games in London before. I think the uh, Cubs and Cardinals played there last year, I believe, and I know the Red Sox and Yankees played a series a few years ago there too.
Dude, the jerseys this year are absolute garbage too. So
Yeah, I mean they've been doing some sponsor stuff going on too, where like there's this big Zoom like text written on the side of the helmets. So like whenever you're like looking at the guys in the batting box, you see like that Zoom logo, which is right in there, and then the skull, and it's just it's not a good look there. And some of the merchandise is very interesting because it's like clearly not designed for baseball fans. They're
yeah,
merging
and it's like who
these
puts
shirts, they're
both
merging the
teams?
they're merging yeah, they're merging the Mets and the Phillies, and like these are blood rivals.
Yeah,
You wore anything Mets related in Philadelphia, and you may end up in a body bag.
you wear anything not Philadelphia sports related in Philadelphia, and you might end up in a body bag. When you're in Philadelphia, you are a Philadelphia fan. Period. End of story. So,
Yeah, yeah. Be very, very careful when you're going into Philadelphia because they are very, very passionate there.
yeah, that's
I,
enough.
I have
That's one
not
word
made
for it. So.
I have not made a trip to Philadelphia. I am glad that I dress up as Waldo because I'm pretty sure that would be like my safe haven if I just dress up as Waldo and everybody will have fun at you with that. And then maybe they'll throw stuff at you, but they'll be nice about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So where would you if you were a baseball fan, where would you want MLB to play some exhibition or not even exhibition games, but actual like games? I think they should play
From
Mexico.
I mean, the Dominican Republic, uh, Cuba would be cool. I know it's complicated because we're not over the communism thing as Americans. But Mexico, Venezuela, Colombia.
They do play games in Mexico. They've had some Mexico City games in the past couple of
Oh
years.
yeah,
So
I do remember that. Yeah,
I
but
think they had
Venezuela
them
would be
earlier
cool.
this year, if I'm not mistaken. I thought the Astros and
Oh
somebody
yeah, it
were
was. It
there.
was like the opening weekend, basically. I think,
Well, they
right?
had the opening weekend they had the opening series in Korea this year with
Oh yeah, that's right. The
with the
Dodgers and the
Dodgers and the Padres.
yeah.
But I know I could have sworn that I thought it was the Rockies and the Astros played a series in Mexico City this year.
Oh no, I think you're right. Yeah, the Rockies. That's just a different Mile High Stadium. So
Yeah, yeah, that stadium there in Mexico City was over 7,000 feet up.
yeah, I like the Mexico City games are cool. Venezuela, they could play in Caracas would be cool. Panama would be really cool, I think. Um, there are a couple ball players. Are there a couple ball players from Guatemala or not?
I'm sure
Um,
there are. I don't know off the top of my head
but
who.
I think one that could be really, really cool is going to the Dominican Republic every year. I think that would be, there are so many players from that island and specifically from, I was listening to someone talk about it the other day. I'm not going to know for sure, but there's also a lot of people from specifically one like village in the Dominican Republic. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, anywhere in Latin America, I understand why they're trying to expand to Europe because that's a market dominated by cricket. Is the game that they play there, and then in a lot of African countries, I know they play cricket there as well. China would be cool. I feel like
I think that's
Japan
some
and
of the
Korea. There
same
are
communist issues in China, though.
yeah. But I mean, that would be really cool because they're already playing all around China. They're just not playing in China.
I would like to
So
see Puerto Rico because they're
oh yeah, I mean that would also
big.
be really cool. I mean, you don't even have to have a passport as an American to go there. That honestly, that should be the first one that they do next. So
Yeah, I think Puerto Rico is just as much the logistics, really, just finding a place to play and getting there. So
Well,
kid.
we owe that protectorate statehood, first of all. I mean, not to get too political, but I mean, we have done some not so cool things, and I think investing in putting baseball there at least once a year would be, a start. So,
Yeah, they've been advertising inside America too. They've been advertising that they're going to go to one of the Negro League fields in a few weeks,
oh, cool.
or a
Is
baseball
that
game.
for the Field of Dreams game or whatever?
No, no, no. I think this one is in Alabama. I believe it's Rick Field, if I'm not mistaken. I saw some. They were talking about it during one of the series. Sorry, Rickwood Field. My mistake.
Okay,
So
cool.
they're going to be playing a game at Rickwood Field in a few weeks. I thought it was on the so it's going to be the Giants and the Cardinals are playing a game on June 20th at Rickwood Field. So that's
Oh, that's what an awesome thing for MLB to do. And then two super old ball clubs too. That's really cool.
yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be a fun one to see.
Isn't that stadium is like really nice as well, I think. Um,
I don't know too much about that stadium, to be honest. I have to do a
yeah, I'm
little
looking at a
more
picture of it
looking
right
at it.
now. It's beautiful. It's like your very early 1900s, maybe even 19th century, late 19th century. But it's one of those really awesome classic baseball buildings that's been kept up really well.
Yeah, I kind of like the old retro parks. Do you know about the Polo Grounds?
No.
Oh, the Polo Grounds. Okay, you talk about like a field that had some crazy dimensions to it. And baseball, one of the things I love about baseball is that they have
That's
different
my favorite
sizes,
thing too. Yeah, preaching to
universal.
the choir.
So the Polo Grounds was basically described like a bathtub. It was like one of the original stadiums in New York, where I think a lot of the New York teams played there over the years. It was in Manhattan. I'm stalling for time to Google if more information about it, but it was pretty much like the Giants played there a lot.
Okay.
And so it was like a bathtub because to left field, the shortest point was like 279 and 258 from left to right. But then
Oh wow.
it goes to like 450 feet back on left field and like 449 on the right. And then like center field, it was like 483 at like the peak.
Does
And
it
I
have
think
did it have the giant berm like the Coliseum used to have out there?
I think it was too old for that. And I think they were talking about it yesterday during the broadcast, but I believe that it used to be even bigger than that.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, if you Google the Polo Grounds, it's basically like they describe it like a bathtub.
Yeah, I think, and you thought Co-America Park was big. That puts it to shame out in center. So,
Yeah, I mean, it would be fun to have like a home run derby at the Polo Grounds and just try to see like how
oh,
just you could
I
hit
always
one out the dead center.
in my game, in my baseball game that I play, I always hate it when they pick Comerica Park specifically for that reason because it's so hard to hit the ball out. And so it's like in any other ballpark, that you hit 20 home runs to win. And in Comerica Park, it's like 10 or 11, basically.
Even Comerica Park apparently made some improvements a couple years ago, and it really hasn't changed things offensively for them.
Yeah, because you have to hit it to left or right. I mean, it's still just giant out in center field. So,
Yeah, I went to Comerica Field last year, and I got to see the home run ball hit pretty much out to I was kind of out in center field-ish, so it was kind of a
yeah,
big surprise to even see one get out there.
I mean, that means he absolutely tattooed it out there.
Yeah, I
So,
think Rafael Devers definitely tattooed that one. Yeah,
yeah.
you got some swing, and I know that like Baltimore, they really have been. I think one of the reasons Baltimore's gotten so good is because they did their ballpark adjustments to left field. Basically,
Yeah,
just
I
got
agree with
bigger.
you.
It took their like overall pitching ERA down dramatically.
Yeah. And they have the splash zone or whatever. I always thought that would be fun on a hot day. So
I was actually looking at buying. I might buy tickets to go to the Splash Zone if I'm out there. This when I'm out there this summer, I might even consider that. So
yeah,
that'd be kind
jealous.
of fun. I haven't gotten my tickets for the game yet, but I do have like my hotel and my airfare set for that trip. So
Oh, awesome.
I should
Yeah, I
probably.
think I like their celebration too for, everyone has their celebration for extra base hits. I mean, even for singles, right? But I like when they hit for extra bases, the Oreos do the water sprinklers.
As a tease for next week's show, we because we should think about this. Every team like seems like they have their funky little home run props.
Yeah.
Like we should talk about that next week on the show.
Oh, I mean, I'll rank
What's
them
your
30
favorite
to
like
1 too.
home
So,
run props that like I mean some teams like the Blue Jays they have like the home run jacket and like
yeah.
Seattle's got the trident.
Uh, Detroit's got they play hockey. They got the
Well, no,
hockey.
no, I don't know if you've seen it. Detroit's got a little pizza thing. It's got
Oh,
like
now they
the
switched.
little Caesars pizza guy. So I know the Red Sox they used to do like the laundry cart thing. I don't think they do that anymore. But
They do they do
that's
the
gonna be our
monster.
little
Yeah.
that's gonna be our little homework assignment for next week's show because we're kind of running out of time here.
Okay, absolutely. Um,
So this is Dada Griffin again. Thank you for watching with us and well not really watching but listening to us talk and about baseball. And Shane, do you have any closing remarks?
yes, a strawberry is not a berry, but a banana is.
Well, wasn't expecting that one. I was more of a blueberry person myself over bananas. But anyway, thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.